Welcome to my YouTube channel. Get caught up on the most important news from the last day, including updates on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The situation in Pogro is critical. Russian forces are entering Donetsk while intense fighting continues through the winter. The battle is taking place on the icy, frozen ground of eastern Ukraine. A silent but fierce war is raging hour by hour. Paus, once considered Ukraine's logistical stronghold in the Donetsk region, is in danger of being wiped off the defense map. In the biting cold, amidst the shelling and the roar of tank engines, there are signs that the Kiev command is gradually retreating, leaving a dangerous gap for Russian forces to pour in. Western analysts began to voice their concerns. Even those who had been Ukraine's strongest supporters could no longer hide their worries. According to them, the Bros are being abandoned. Roman Pisarenko, head of the information department of the 79th Ukrainian Brigade stationed near Minograd, admitted in an interview on the 21st that the winter weather was creating favorable conditions for the Russian army. When the ground freezes, areas that were once swamps become highways for tanks and armored vehicles. Routes impassable in the summer are now open for mechanized advances. Dense fog obscures visibility, allowing Russian infantry to penetrate deep into Ukrainian positions undetected from afar. Under these conditions, the Makova armored formations begin to move. Minograd, a satellite city of Paus, is currently one of the hottest spots. Here, the 79th Ukrainian Brigade is struggling to fend off continuous incursions. According to Pisarenko, the Russian forces are not only launching large-scale attacks, but also deploying numerous small infantry squads to infiltrate every neighborhood and every row of ruined buildings. By day, it was shelling. By night, it was infiltration. Russian reconnaissance teams silently approached, struck quickly, withdrew swiftly, and disappeared into the darkness. When Ukraine reacted, a new wave of attacks began from a different direction. This gradually turned Min into a labyrinth of fire and bullets. The Russian Ministry of Defense stated that Russian combat groups conducted numerous attacks against Ukrainian forces in various areas along the entire front line, according to the TASS news agency. In the area under the responsibility of the Northern Task Force, Russia claimed to have inflicted approximately 160 casualties on Ukrainian troops, destroying 1 tank, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 10 motorized vehicles, 1 CASA 12 rocket launcher, 4 artillery pieces, 1 electronic warfare station, and 3 supply depots in the Sumy and Kai provinces. In the area under the responsibility of the Western Task Force, according to Russia, approximately 200 Ukrainian soldiers were killed, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 15 motorized vehicles, 2 artillery pieces, 1 electronic warfare station, and 4 ammunition depots were destroyed in Kai and Donetsk. In the area of the Southern Task Force, Russia reported inflicting over 185 casualties, destroying 2 armored personnel carriers, including a U.S.-made M113, 9 armored fighting vehicles, 9 motorized vehicles, 3 field artillery pieces, including a Paladin 155mm self-propelled gun, along with 2 electronic warfare stations and 2 supply depots. In the Central Task Force area, Russia claimed to have inflicted over 395 casualties, destroyed 6 armored fighting vehicles, 20 motorized vehicles, 7 artillery pieces, including 2 Paladin 155mm self-propelled guns and 2 rocket grass launchers in the Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk regions. In the Eastern Task Force area, Russia reported approximately 260 casualties, destroyed 2 tanks, 1 armored personnel carrier, 13 motorized vehicles, 1 field gun, and 1 rocket grass launcher in Zaporizhzhia Yar and Dnipropetrovsk. According to the Russian side, Nepal's group caused more than 60 attacks, destroying 9 vehicles, a Polish-made Krap 155mm self-propelled artillery piece, 4 electronic warfare stations, a P-18 air defense radar, and a supplies depot at Zaporizhzhia Yar and Khan. Additionally, the Russian Ministry of Defense stated that Russian air defenses intercepted and shot down 370 UAVs, 20 rockets from HIMARS, high-mobility multiple rocket launcher systems, 4 guided bombs, and 3 long-range Neptune missiles from Ukraine during the past day. The fighting in Popgradsk and Minograd shows that the Russia-Ukraine conflict is entering a more intense and decisive phase than ever before. As winter descends on eastern Ukraine, not only are temperatures plummeting, but the endurance of both sides is being tested to its limits. Every meter of land gained or lost comes at the cost of lives, blood, and tears of soldiers on the front lines. Against this backdrop, the future of the Dom front is becoming unpredictable. If Ukraine fails to hold the POS, the entire eastern region's dynamics could change rapidly. Conversely, if the Kiev decides to commit all its resources to defense, this will be one of the fiercest battles since the beginning of the conflict. The war shows no signs of abating, and what is happening indicates that the road ahead remains fraught with danger. Ukrainian people continue to live amidst bombs and bullets, while the world continues to watch every development with great anxiety. Ukraine has uncovered a terrifying secret about Russian weapons. The latest images from the Ukrainian front lines are shocking Western military circles. Russian tanks, with their clunky, bulky, metal-clad appearance, are surviving longer than ever before in a battlefield heavily overrun by UAVs. What's remarkable isn't just that Russia has improved its weapons, but that the pace of their evolution is far exceeding all expectations. Ukraine is forced to race against time to avoid being left behind in a war where every small improvement can determine survival. In nearly 4 years of conflict, a brutal pattern has emerged on the battlefield, stretching over 1,100 kilometers. Russia introduces a new solution to counter UAVs, and shortly afterward, Ukraine is forced to adopt it if it doesn't want to pay the price with the lives of its soldiers. Inexpensive UAVs carrying small explosives have become invisible killers of tanks and armored vehicles, forcing Russia to abandon traditional warfare thinking and enter an era of improvisation and continuous experimentation. Initially, Russia simply covered the turret with metal mesh. When the UAVs could penetrate it, they moved on to completely encasing the vehicle's hull. When the armor plating was still being penetrated, additional metal spikes were added. Then, by 2025, the density of metal increased to dense clusters resembling steel dandelions. And now, a significant breakthrough has emerged. The turret cage has hinges, allowing the tank to both counter UAVs and rotate its gun for combat. The fatal flaw of previous anti-UAV armor was that it caused the turret to almost freeze, turning the tank into a moving target that couldn't retaliate. The new Russian design completely solves this problem with an ingenious hinge mechanism. The crew can fold down the front metal frame, freeing up space for the turret to rotate about half a dozen times. This means the 125 millimeters cannon, a weapon still capable of inflicting devastating damage on infantry, has been revived on a battlefield dominated by UAVs. Unsurprisingly, Ukraine quickly copied this improvement. Just days after design drawings from Russia's Transom factory were leaked online, images of a Ukrainian tank with a box-shaped turret frame appeared. The cage frame is fixed to the turret base rather than the hull, allowing the gun to rotate freely while maintaining its anti-UAV capabilities. The battle now isn't just about who hits whom, but who adapts faster. These heavily armored tanks aren't just for shooting. They act as UAV magnets, attracting dozens of enemy drones and forcing Ukraine to deplete its not-so-unlimited UAV arsenal. In a war of attrition, sometimes the tank's mission isn't to destroy the target, but to survive long enough to wear down the enemy. While the ground is transforming into an evolutionary race of steel and metal in the sky, another clash is also causing concern in the West. Russia's X-35 and the big question of its ability to confront the American F-35. While most hypothetical situations remain unproven, the actual combat in Ukraine suggests the Su-35 can outperform the F-16. This makes comparisons to the F-35 unavoidable. The Su-35, a fourth-generation fighter developed from the Su-27, is incredibly maneuverable due to its AL-41F1S engine, which features three-dimensional thrust vector control. This allows it to perform aerial maneuvers in close-range combat that many Western fighters find difficult to replicate. Its powerful IBC radar can detect targets hundreds of kilometers away, and it also has an OLS-35 infrared search and track system. The Su-35 can track targets without using its radar, which is a major benefit in intense electronic warfare situations. The R-37M missile, with a range of 300 to 400 kilometers, is a key part of what makes the Su-35 so dangerous, allowing Russia to engage Ukrainian aircraft from very long ranges. When combined with the A-50U early warning aircraft, the Su-35 becomes a crucial link in the chain of air engagements, leading Ukrainian pilots to admit they cannot apply NATO tactics as trained. The question is, what would happen if the Su-35 went up against the F-35? The F-35 has the advantage of stealth and advanced sensor systems, allowing for early detection and engagement in beyond visual range air combat. However, its slower flight speed, high heat signature from afterburners, and poor maneuverability in close-range dogfighting put the F-35 at a disadvantage if drawn into close combat. Western military experts acknowledge that in an integrated combat system, the Su-35 can be just as dangerous as any new generation fighter jet. And as if the airspace wasn't tense enough, Russia is further troubling Ukraine with a new tactic on the missile front, reviving decommissioned weapons. The RM-48U missiles, originally used only as training targets for air defense systems, are now being repurposed into actual offensive weapons. The Telegraph calls them zombie missiles, old decommissioned missiles that have been sitting in storage for decades but are now back, unleashing immense pressure. During the bombing raid on the night of the 20th, Ukraine spent approximately 80 million euros just to intercept the missiles. The issue wasn't the accuracy of these missiles, but their sheer number. When Russia fired enough, the Ukrainian air defense system was forced to choose between depleting its stockpile of red earth missiles or allowing the targets to slip through. This is the nature of attrition warfare, where cost is the most dangerous weapon. Experts warn Ukraine not to interpret Russia's use of outdated missiles as a sign of exhaustion. On the contrary, it could be a manifestation of a colder, cost-effective strategy to overwhelm with sheer numbers. Each PAC-3 missile fired by Ukraine costs millions of dollars, while Russia's modified missiles are significantly cheaper. In a protracted war, economic challenges can sometimes be more devastating than bombs and bullets. From armored tanks and X-35 fighter jets to zombie missiles, the picture of the Russia-Ukraine war reveals a worrying reality. This is no longer a war of flashy weapons, but a war of adaptation, numbers, and long-term resilience. And in that race, whichever side runs out of energy first will pay the highest price.